High schooler Taito is an ordinary boy who used to practice karate when he was younger, but had to give it up because of an accident. The only strange thing about Taito is that he keeps having the same dream over and over again. In his dream, he is 6 years old in a playground with a girl he can't remember. During the dream, he can't make out who the girl is, and she promises to give him poison so that they can stay together forever. In the dream, Taito is scared, but the girl comforts him and bites him after confessing her love for him. The dream ends after she asks him to confess his feelings for her as well. After waking from the dream once again, Taito is looked over by his school friend Haruka. Haruka is a childhood friend of Taito, and she has had feelings for him for a long time. At school, Taito gets into a conflict with the most popular guy in school, Geku, who is fairly mean-spirited. After school, Taito and Haruka go their separate ways. On his way home, Taito sees a truck about to hit a girl named Mirai, who seems to be working for Geku. He pushes her out of the way but gets hit himself and suffers a seemingly fatal injury. But then, his head starts talking to Mirai, and his body moves on its own, taking his head and running away. As Taito panics, he suddenly remembers more details from his dream, where the girl from his dreams, whose name is Sato-Hemiya, had controlled him when he was young. He had forgotten all about her after some man took her away. When he says her name, she's freed from wherever she was and turns into a high schooler as well. They meet at the playground from their childhood. But suddenly, the most popular guy in school, Geku, shows up and stabs Sato-Hemiya, ruining their reunion. Deku and Mirai start fighting Taito and Sato-Hemiya, but then Geku's brother Hinata shows up and stops them. Taito uses up all his chances to survive, and seems to pass, but then he wakes up in class. Sato-Hemiya, who's now the new kid in school, bursts into the classroom and jumps on Taito, knocking them both down, and everyone else in class gets all red-faced. Haruka, who's been Taito's friend since they were little, is really surprised. They meet Geku and Mirai, and Geku says they have to be his subordinates and work with them in the student council. Sato-Hemiya tells Taito they'll be together forever while holding onto his arm tightly. Taito can't decide if he should have lunch or eat the meal Haruka made. Thankfully, he gets a call from Geku saying there's a bug invasion at school, so classes are cancelled. They find out the school sits where different dimensions meet, and the military runs things, but adults can't get in because of a barrier. Mirai is bummed about swim class being cancelled, and drags everyone to the pool, except Geku, who goes to the student council room. Mirai tells Taito how she got roped into a deal with Geku. Meanwhile, at the student council room, Geku meets a messenger from Tenma. Suddenly, the sky goes dark, the moon shines bright, and it starts raining red stuff. A portal pops up, supposedly going to Tenma, and Geku and Mirai jump in. Then, Sato-Hemiya gets taken over by the red liquid, which turns out to be Balskra. Balskra tries to finish off Taito for worrying about Sato-Hemiya, but she thinks only Taito can rescue her because he's not tainted like they are. She defeats Balskra in the end. Lastly, Tenma talks with their Earth Observer, whose only job is to stop Sato-Hemiya from doing some sacred spell called Bliss. Turns out, the Observer is actually Haruka, but she doesn't realize it herself. With Balskra gone, now Bliss has taken over Sato-Hemiya's body. Bliss is a spell she made a long time ago when she was feeling really lonely. Meanwhile, Geku talks to Tenma, who says the witch was broken by loneliness and shows him a prophecy about Ramiel Lilith destroying the world. Tenma gives Geku power to stop Ramiel if they promise not to mess with their underlings. It turns out Sato-Hemiya was upset because she didn't know how Taito felt. Finally, Sato-Hemiya and Taito kiss, and he admits he loves her. Deku asks Sato-Hemiya about Ramiel, but she doesn't seem to know anything. During all this, Haruka is out shopping for ingredients to cook for Taito. At the end, she sees Hinata alive and well, waiting for her outside her house. Hinata shows up to see Haruka. Turns out, Haruka's actually a spy sent by the monsters on the other side of the moon. Hinata thought about using her against those monsters, but now it seems she might be thinking about rebelling against them. Suddenly, Sato-Hemiya grabs Taito and drags him off for a date. There's this unknown guy and girl watching them nearby. Taito wants to get stronger and tries, but fails to ask Geku for help. Then, this guy in a black suit comes to school and talks to a blue-haired girl who just vanishes. Turns out, he's Crossfire Yuichi, the new English teacher and student council advisor. Meanwhile, Sato-Hemiya almost pulls Taito out of school for their date, but he apologizes and says he has other plans. He's actually going to train at the fight clubs and has gotten so strong that even top fighters can't keep up. Deku and Mirai hear about magical traps in the city and go check them out, which seems like a date to Mirai. They bump into Taito on his way back, and Mirai tells him Sato-Hemiya was crying. Taito realizes his mistake and rushes back to be with Sato-Hemiya. Taito wants to get stronger to protect Sato-Hemiya. Deku tells him to meet Ejiluka, who can grant any wish but asks for something in return. Before Taito makes his wish, he finds out Sato-Hemiya had gone to Ejiluka before to bring him back to life, giving up a lot of her power. Taito wishes to get stronger on his own, without any shortcuts. Ejiluka isn't too happy about it, but still gives him a bunch of helpful and useless information, taking something important from Taito in return, but doesn't say what. Sato-Hemiya offers to help Taito go through the information he got. While searching, Taito meets and makes a deal with Vishal Belaranka. Meanwhile, Cross shows up in the student council room and says the military hired him to keep an eye on things. Deku insults the military, and Cross shows off his speed, getting Geku riled up and proving he's not as tough as he thinks he is. The group is at a beach for a tough training camp, and even Izumi got invited. Cross pushes them to their limits, saying they need to get strong enough to beat ancient dragons. He also warns that if they fail their tests, at the end, they won't be able to leave the area. Cross had it all planned, thinking Izumi could cook for them. But after days of nothing but curry for every meal, he decides they need some extra help. During their break, Taito and the others are shocked to see Haruka suddenly appear. It turns out Cross asked Haruka to cook for everyone, causing tension because of the love triangle between Taito, Satohemiya, and Haruka. Izumi tries to cheer up Satohemiya by suggesting a bravery test. She tries to make sure Satohemiya pairs with Taito, but Cross steps in to pair with Taito instead. He pats Taito on the way back, and something dark seems to stir inside Taito. The night ends with fireworks, and Haruka confesses her feelings to Taito. While on their journey, Siko's vehicle is attacked, and Haruka is kidnapped by two male magic users called Spellbreakers. Cross won't let Taito and the others rescue her, saying it's a job for the military now. One of the Spellbreakers appears to Satohemiya when she's alone and offers to free Haruka if she gives herself up. Izumi tries to talk her out of it but fails. She then surrenders herself to the Spellbreakers, but they trap her instead and refuse to release Haruka. Taito and Geku attack the school to open a portal to where the Spellbreakers are. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Haruka's observer side commissioned the Spellbreakers. She promised them information about Tenma if they would destroy the observer side, lock up Satohemiya, and return her regular self to Taito. Geku and Mirai fight with Cross while Taito rushes to save Haruka and Satohemiya. The fight gets intense, with Cross threatening to harm Mirai. Deku bows to Cross, pleading for Mirai's safety. Hinata shows up, mocking his brother and Cross, claiming he knows all about the prophecy, and that they're nowhere near his power level. Meanwhile, Taito faces off against Haska while Surge continues to seal Satohemiya, even though they offer to let Taito go home with Haruka. Diankichi briefly appears, advising Taito to reject magic, but his spell seems to have no effect. Taito fights hard, even though he's close to death. The Spellbreakers, Haska and Surge, are reminded of their childhood when they were in a similar situation. Deku tries to help, but Taito refuses, using his last ounce of strength to lightly punch Haska. Then, Satohemiya wakes up, using Taito's spell to analyze and break free from Surge's sealing spell. She nearly kills the Spellbreakers, but Taito asks them to leave instead. Haruka seems okay, but her other personality is gone. In the end, the Spellbreakers decide to join the school. Later, since the summer holidays are beginning, Haruka suggests Taito join her at the public baths. Although she intends to spend time with him alone together, a chance encounter means that Izumi convinces Satohemiya to go as well. Meanwhile, they run into Geku, Mirai, and the others there. The group separates into different gender baths where they gossip together, and the boys get caught in a battle of pride when they enter the steam room together to see who can stay the longest. Meanwhile, while the group recovers from their adventures at the bathhouse, Cross wonders when the dark rabbit within Taito will awaken, and if Taito will be ready for the upcoming conflict. Back at school, the group promised to train and become stronger for any future threats. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.